Hi, everybody. It's Wednesday. We are here for another WorkLife consulting session. We enjoy coming up with these ideas each week and helping you with strategies. And kick us off for today, Dave.
Well, I think this is one of those ideal times to say, what have we learned this year? And what do we want to focus on for next year? I mean, it's kind of what better time than the end of one year into the next? And certainly seeing 2020 go by is something we're all looking forward to. And 2021, I think, has a lot of opportunities and a lot of possibilities coming out of all this technical, regeneration. Everybody's online. Everybody's figuring out Zoom. Every day there's more technology. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting year to see how it all happens. And plus, the political scene gets clarified. I mean, there's an awful lot of messy, cloudy, dirty mess, kind of crazy stuff going on. And I think this is going to be the year to straighten it out.
Wild and crazy times. But what I thought was interesting was a mentor of mine said that what used to take 10 years to complete this past year had to be done in 10 days.
Yeah.
And I think that's the message. So what I think about, you asked me, we were actually listening in on another mentor yesterday talk about what has been seen on his end. He's an online business guru. What has he been seeing in 2020, and what does he see for 21? And if you boil things down, I added another word here, but he said the biggest learning from 2020 that he's seen was innovation. And I think it ties back with that 10 years to 10 days concept, where we have seen amazing innovation in companies and teams and individuals. And I would add resilience, because without the resilience, you can't innovate. If there isn't the possibility of bouncing back and picking up after a setback, you're not going to innovate.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great point you make, Laura, because I think we have to realize how important it is to have a challenge in order to build resilience. You don't build resilience in a vacuum. You build resilience by taking advantage of the fact that you've got a challenge, that you've got an obstacle, that you've got something you need to overcome. So the two things are intimately combined. You don't want to have such a challenge that it overwhelms you. But on the other hand, being able to see challenges as opportunities is at the core of our work. How do we take challenges and turn them into opportunities for self-development?
Well, the other thing he said, but when we were hearing yesterday's discussion, what is the key word for 2021? And he said opportunity. So when we think of where we've all come, it's very easy this past year. It's very easy to sit in the negativity, the worry, the fear. Understandably, there's a lot there. But if we look at like all the points that you just brought up, around what do we have that we can take advantage of moving forward, there's an awful lot of opportunity that I think we can grab a hold of. So one of the things that we did this past the end, we're in the midst of it right now, is offering 12 different topics on steps to help you be better prepared moving into 2021. And I have scrolling on the bottom here, you can actually sign up either on our Facebook page or by our website, and you will get linked in, quote unquote, to the upcoming broadcasts, emails. Tomorrow is going to start with day 8, and day 8 will be 8 tips for ways to boost your confidence. So I think those are all, and each of the topics I think are timely and certainly what we need. There are a couple on stress, because we all know that everybody is dealing with different versions and different levels of stress. How to bounce back from a setback, change, that's constant. Looking at what's important. How do we deal with mental toughness? How do we prepare ourselves for promotion? How do you talk to yourself? I have conversations with myself sometimes that, it takes me down the rabbit hole, and I need to have somebody else to get me out of it.
Well, I always try and point out to people that we say things to ourselves that if anybody else said it to me, I'd probably whack them. But I get away with it because it's me telling myself, I'm not good enough, or I can't do it, or why and what poor me, and how come things didn't work the way that I wanted them to, and on and on and on. But as soon as I shift that little bit of a frame and I think to myself, okay, how can I look at this differently? I can usually come up with a pretty good idea, and a whole new set of approaches towards things that I thought were um, locked up forever.
Yeah. Well, and then you start to think about, what are the trends? What are the business trends? So I've started to do a little research around what is coming up for 2021.
Mhm.
And newsflash, virtual is not going away. There are companies who are finding that they're much more efficient. They can get more done. They have no desire to go back to the way it was. I'm sure it'll be a hybrid
Yeah.
some way, but it will not be the way we thought it was or what
Well,
we.
I think it presents a challenge for everybody in different ways. Along with our Berkman grid, red, green, blue, and yellow, the four basic personality types, if you want to call it such, or motivational areas for each one of us. I think that virtual learning presents a challenge for all of us. That's one of the things we've been talking about is perhaps to put together a program on handling remote work, because remote work is different for everyone. For some people, it's difficult because I don't have everybody else there that I'm working with, and I like to work socially with other people. It's hard to do that online. Some people, it's maybe I don't have the people that go down the corner and talk to and vent to the same way as I used to. Some other people, maybe it's the lack of access to details and to company records and files. There's a lot of different ways that the remote work and the virtuality cause stress and impact the performance areas for different people. So we've got to start taking that into account.
Well, certainly what I found is that people are going to be investing in themselves, in their teams around personal development. This is a trend that is not going away. And if anything, it's picking up again, because it was a focus several years ago, and then it kind of, got buried under the ROI of work. But
Mhm.
now with people being more independent and seeing, what do I want? What are the opportunities, to use the 21 keyword for me
Mhm.
as I launch myself into 21. So the map covers a couple of things. The MAP is an acronym for one of our favorite thought leaders of today, Dan Pink, who wrote the book Drive. And he came to find with his research that the three things that people are most interested in for themselves is mastery, or the M, autonomy, and purpose. So we're looking at, and our version of a map is what you just referenced, the Berkman motivational tool that gives people a map, a guide into their passion, their strengths, their motivators, and their stressors. So if we can boil that up and put it into a sweet marinade, we can really help people by giving them a map. It's aligning with mastery, autonomy, and purpose. So that is where we're heading into 21, is to help people do that.
And each person's map could be very different for the same
Mhm.
situation. So you need to take into account. I think that one of the trends, if you will, for this coming year is the um, individualization. I guess is the word I would use. The things aren't meant to be the lowest common denominator, and then people try and find their way into it. We have the ability now to customize things to the individual, and I think that there's going to be a greater and greater call for that. I mean, we already have it with iPhone, iPad, I. Well, I think that that's that individualization, if that's what the I stands for. I think the individual development plan is going to come into focus this year.
Absolutely. And I think what all of this helps our people, our community with, is our message is what keeps you up at night gets us up in the morning. So this is what makes us tick. The ability of sort of pulling back some of the layers, and everybody's got different layers. Even that map, the mastery may look different for me than it does for you. How do I want to live my life in with autonomy? May be very different.
Yeah,
And
what does economy look like for you?
yeah, and the purpose is my own personal direction, or in our case, our company direction. So when you think of all of that, it helps leaders think of how do we motivate teams, especially in this virtual space where everybody is so different. I had a call yesterday with a new leader, and she said, what used to be in old jobs that I had is I'd walk down the hall, like you just said, and I'd have a 4-minute chat, where now I have to schedule a time. And it's all things that we get used to.
Yeah.
But it certainly keeps people up at night when you start to think of how do we provide the support, because our focus is in these areas. We focus on leadership, we focus on teams, and how does that impact career? We do that by getting people together in mastermind conversations. I think that's the benefit of a virtual space, is the ability to get people of varying backgrounds in the same space to share learning, growth, development with one another. And certainly a key area, a passion of mine, is to help women do this.
Well, I think the other trend that I see is the Amy Edmondson work on psychological safety. People are really starting to resonate with that. Our preferred provider of information, the Berkman organization, is also focusing on psychological safety. How do you create that safe space? And I have personal experience with it just this week with one of my clients. The fact that they got rid of one toxic personality and brought more safety into the team made leaps and bounds. I mean, they just went like completely, out of the box into innovative thinking and all kinds of new ideas. It was just incredible to see what happens when you create that safe space.
Well, I think what's interesting, especially with them, is that, and any other organization like that, is they have the ability then to see it, because otherwise they're blocked by the negativity and the fear. So now there's the ability to shed a light on it and do amazing things.
I think that ties together with our recently completed Emotional Mastery online course, our first real attempt to do it. We had 6 modules. I thought it was very successful. We covered some great material. Halfway through, we were adding more stuff because it just started opening up other ideas and other concepts. So I think that's going to be something for us to focus on this year, is how can we do that again, or do it differently, or make it shorter, whatever we want to do with it. But I think it's time that it's a very timely topic, the idea of being able to be in control of yourself more so than you have been in the past.
So our purpose is to help you reset in 2021. And let's look at the opportunities that are coming your way. We will be online again next Wednesday. Hopefully you'll be joining us. But in the meantime, whatever way you celebrate this upcoming holiday, have a safe and healthy, fun time, because one of the things, that's another motto of ours, is having fun is serious work. You too. It's in addition to all the other work that you have to do. So enjoy time with family. In our case, we are going to open up the Zoom room like we did for Thanksgiving and see what everybody's cooking.
Yeah, if anybody else wants to stop by in the Zoom room, please join us. We'd love to have you stop by for a motivational cocktail, so to speak. It's I think where did you just go to your Zoom room, Laura?
Yeah, that's okay. Everybody's pretty busy. We'll be sharing some stories about that, and more to come. And we'll see you next week online for another work-life message and work-life session. Thanks again for either listening now or for joining in later on.